friends, and welcome to today's video. If you couldn't tell already from the title of the video, you can tell from me being in my Peloton corner here. This is going to be another Peloton instructor review video, and today we're going to be talking about Denis Morton. I think I've mentioned this at the start of all these instructor review videos, but I started doing this series because I found I was sticking to the same instructors and not sort of branching out and seeing what everybody had to offer. And I've really been noticing as I've been going through this, how different the personalities and styles are of the different instructors. So I would recommend, if you are somebody who just sticks to one, give some of the others a try and give them a try for enough rides to really get an idea of whether they are a good fit for you. So far in this series, I have reviewed Sam Yo, Leanne Hainsby, Jen Sherman, Bradley Rose, Robin Arzon, and now Denis Morton. I have also done, and you can find all of this on my Peloton playlist, which I will link down below and maybe try to link up here somewhere. I rarely if ever do that, but I'll give it a go. I did a review of my first 30 days on the bike. I did a review of the Total Strength program, of their meditation, sleep meditation program, and all of those are on my Peloton playlist. So I've had Denis Morton suggest it to me as somebody to ride with a few times, and prior to doing the riding for this video, I had never done a class with him. Usually when he was recommended, it was in connection or in tandem with the Power Zone training, which a number of people have said they would be interested in me doing a video on. I am also interested in doing it. I find one of the issues that I'm having lately, one of the blocks in my brain, comes down to how the new programs are set up. I want to do the Find Your Power Zone program or the Building Your Power Zones, those programs, but there's something about the way that the programs are set up lately that are so locked in. I've been doing like a little bit of traveling to see family. I am busy some days, and I just worry that I'm not going to be able to get through different weeks before it just locks me out completely, and that really bugs me. I still want to do the Power Zone training. I just have to find a period of time that I know I'm going to be able to stick with the schedule. So as we talk about Denis Morton, I do tend to break these reviews down into 3 categories. I talk about their workouts, the kind of workouts they offer. I talk about their style, what I've noticed from how they teach and do their classes. And then the third category is personal fit. And this is more about my opinion of them, whether they jive with me, what I like or what I don't like. So let's start by talking about workouts. So Denis has cycling workouts, he has a lot of yoga workouts, he has stretching in terms of both like post-ride stretching, but a couple of other full body stretches, just a few. And he has some strength training, but it's like the arm toning, the kind of thing that all the cycling instructors do. And I think randomly there's like 2 core workout programs that he has, or not programs, classes that he has, but really cycling and yoga. He seems to have almost any kind of ride you could be looking for: theme rides, climb rides, hit rides, the beginner and advanced beginner, and also, as I mentioned, Power Zone rides. He is one of the Power Zone instructors. I didn't really get too deep into the yoga, but I do believe he has almost any kind of yoga class you'd be looking for as well, as he does have, at this point, over 360 yoga classes on the app. As far as the collections that he has, and I didn't really get into this with previous instructors that I have ridden with, but he does have a Fresh Friday collection. I actually haven't tried that one, but when I was getting ready for this video, I saw what it was and I might try it. It's basically a class where he pairs up an artist that he likes, and he'll take their hit and then also give you sort of a deep cut from their albums, a song you maybe haven't heard of before if you only know them from their hits. He also has his reset rides and reset yoga. So the way that it works is they're almost done to be paired together. I think they're recorded like one day after the other, but you can pair them together where it's a 45-minute ride, and then there's, I think, 30 minutes of yoga is what the class is, and it's a theme of sort of getting out of your head and resetting yourself, bringing some of those like mindful yoga practices into the cycling and the yoga. And I did do one of those classes, the cycling and yoga combined. I did tend to do a lot of his 20-minute music theme rides, so like 80s, 90s, and he seems to have very much the same structure for all of those rides. Like after I'd done a couple of them, I kind of knew what was coming. It was like a song of warm-up, a song of spin-ups, then he would do sort of a gradual climb that would get harder as you went. He then tended to do sort of riding out of the saddle with these like forward and back motions that I haven't had any other instructor do, a little bit of a rest, and then would end with either like spin-ups or a jog before doing the cool down. So you really get to know sort of his structure for those 20-minute theme rides. And then his cool downs are generally all the ones that I did. He either sets the cadence or the resistance, and usually it's the cadence, and then we'll bring down the other. So while some instructors will bring both down or they'll do some out of the saddle work, he keeps one consistent and then brings the other down, and really talks about seeing your output start highest and then using that output as a measure of reducing to really cool down. Let's get into style. Denis brings to his classes, in my opinion, a lot of technical knowledge and also experience being an instructor. So he's good at prompting you for your proper posture on the bike, a lot of posture stuff about staying upright. He's also very good at prompting you about using the full 365-degree circle of the wheel and being balanced between your two pedals. There's a lot of prompting there, and it doesn't feel like over prompting, but sort of keeps you thinking about your form. And I think possibly also because of his yoga knowledge, he is also very focused on breathing and really brought some neat visualizations to breathing that helped me in a way. I don't know, new visualizations will help me with things. So he talked about deep breathing. It was either in a cool down or towards the end of one of his rides. And he talked about picturing, getting down to the air that had like settled at the bottom of your lungs, getting air all the way into like the very bottom of your lungs. And I know like physiologically that's not what's happening, but it really makes you think about how deep you're breathing. So he does a number of these sort of techniques for proper posture, proper breathing, proper biking that stood out as being different and really got me thinking about the way that I was on the bike. If you've watched any of my other series, you'll know that structure is important to me in a ride. And by that, I mean, how much are the instructors letting you know what is coming, what to expect? Because for me, I find I can push myself harder and I trust an instructor more if I know what's coming. And I'd say Denis is pretty good here. He's not like as detailed as like Leanne Hainsby, for example, will be like, here's exactly what we're doing. And here are the number of different pushes that we're getting in each song, like right at the beginning, just everything. Sometimes he'll give you the structure at the beginning and sometimes not, but he gives you the structure at the start of each song and will tell you how long you are pushing for and where you're going to be adding resistance. So while he wasn't the most here's our roadmap kind of instructor, I never felt like I was hanged out to dry and didn't know how much more resistance I was going to be asked to add or how long we were going to be doing a heavy push for. I really felt like I trusted Denis in giving me the information I needed to push as hard as I could in a ride. I mentioned before the sort of out of the saddle work where he has you out of the saddle and he sort of gets you to stand up and like push your hips and your butt forward and then come back over the saddle again. And it's like 2 beats forward, 2 beats back. It was interesting. And I've never seen any other instructor do this in any of my classes. And he did it in quite a few of his. I don't know if that's like a spin thing that usually happens. I found if anything, it just kind of kept me distracted a little bit from what I was doing. But I don't really think I had the form right because I didn't feel anything happening in like my glutes or my quads. Because I don't tend to do the harder classes because I'm still very much a beginner, a lot of the instructors that I work with in the classes, they don't really use output. Of course they are using a buzzsaw outside right now. Denis does use the output, even in the beginner rides and in the cool down rides, but he uses it as a tool of being like, okay, this is going to be the highest output you're gonna have in the whole ride, and let's make sure we see the number go down from here. So this is gonna sound maybe a little silly, but he uses output in a way that isn't intimidating. I took a couple of his arm toning classes and he tends to emphasize the movement over the weight. I enjoyed his arm toning classes, whereas other instructors might say if you're feeling, this getting difficult, just take a break for a couple of seconds or go a little slower. He would say if you're finding this difficult, put the weights down and keep doing like the motions just without the weights, which I thought was interesting. It's more about the movement than the actual weight in terms of building up your ability to lift more. Now let's get into personal fit, how I clicked with Denis. For some reason, before starting the classes with Denis, I wasn't looking forward to it. For some reason in my mind, he was super serious and super technical, and I thought my music taste wasn't going to jive. And I don't know if that's just because he looks a little bit more serious and because he does the power zone training, but that was kind of the vibe that I got from him. But I have to say I was totally wrong. Starting out with the music, which is a huge thing for me, it's why I tend to take the music theme rides. A lot of our music taste really jives. Like at the start, I was a little worried because I thought, oh, like he mentioned country at one point and a few different things that wasn't really my jam. But he has rides from like the 80s, 90s, and 2000s with like alternative and rock. Dennis and I are exactly the same age. We were both born in 1978, so I can sort of see where our musical tastes overlap. He is a little bit more into the rock than I am. I was a little bit more into the alternative in like the 90s and 2000s, but there's nothing wrong with like biking really hard to Enter Sandman. Totally cool with that. And there was like a good amount of like Radiohead and stuff on there that I really enjoyed. And next, I really enjoyed his personality. He's so genuine, and when he does make little jokes and things, it feels to me like a really dry sense of humor, but it comes really naturally. I do find there are instructors, and even instructors that I really enjoy, where they're trying to sort of like force the humor and entertainment a little bit, and sometimes it's lovely, and sometimes it doesn't feel quite as genuine. But everything feels very genuine with Dennis. He's not trying to entertain you. It's just sometimes he has these little wry things that he says, and it makes me really find him endearing. So for example, in one of the cool down rides, he was saying something about like focusing on keeping like your belly button pulled in, or, you know, your abs pulled in. He's like right above, the space right above your belt buckle. And he sort of paused for a moment and said with like total deadpan, and if you're wearing a belt during this ride, that's an interesting decision. But something about it, like that's that kind of stuff, just sort of dry sense of humor and a little deadpan, and I really enjoy it. And he really seems to get into the music in his rides, which I also really enjoy. I felt really supported by Dennis. I never felt like he was going to get me into something that I couldn't handle, or that I was going to like have to gas out halfway through and just sort of like ride on a flat road for the end of it. He's super encouraging and just, I don't know, it felt very supported. So it was actually with Dennis that I did my first climb ride. I've never done one before. I did PR on that ride. It was just a 10-minute ride, but I was able to do that because I thought, yeah, I know he's gonna cue me well. I know I'm in good hands and I'm going to be able to do this, and I trust him. I mentioned earlier I did one of his reset, ride, and yoga combos. I really did enjoy it. He talked a lot about letting go of parts of yourself that weren't serving you anymore, and, you know, being able to grieve the time that you spent as the person you didn't want to be, or the parts of you that weren't you, but being able to move on. It was very thoughtful in a very genuine kind of way. I guess that's the word I keep using, is it's very genuine. It doesn't sort of feel like somebody read a self-help book and is trying to be like that person. It comes from a very genuine place. The yoga was also really good. As somebody who is very much a beginner at yoga, you know, it was a little hard to keep up, and he definitely didn't do as much of the talking about the reset stuff in the yoga because I think you need to spend more time cueing you, but it all felt really good. And I really enjoyed doing the yoga right after the cycling. I think the one thing I would say that I did not enjoy, I won't be doing any of his post-ride 5-minute stretches. Because the way that my bike is set up, and also just, I don't know, because of my body, I can't do some of his stretches. He does a number of stretches where you're down on like one knee, pushing your hip forward for like your hip flexors, and another one for your quads where while you're down on one knee, you're supposed to grab your ankle that's behind you. That second one I just couldn't do. But even the other one, my knees hurt so much during that, and like I could get out proper padding and everything, but like there are so many stretches out there that I can do while standing that I just won't be doing any more of his post-ride stretches. And also, just as a sort of funny final thing, maybe not funny, I'm glad I found Dennis when he was out of his man bun era, because I didn't realize that was the thing at first, and then I chose an older ride and he popped up and I was like, whoa, Dennis had like a man bun? I was not expecting that at all for some reason from the first rides that I did with him. So just sort of something that caught me by surprise and I was not prepared for. So I did this in my last review video and I'll start doing it now. I have done a number of these reviews and I've started to sort of rank the instructors by, you know, the ones I keep going back to, down to the ones where it's only if a specific ride catches my eye, and I thought I would do that again. So still, nobody has knocked out my #1 favorite instructor, Robin Arzon. She is way up there. While I was doing this rides with Dennis, and I love doing rides with Dennis, I saw that she had like a new 20-minute like 80s or 90s ride, and I just really want to do it. I just really enjoy Robin. She's my jam. But I'm slotting Dennis in here at #2 because I am enjoying him so much. And it says something if it's like, I will do rides with him that I wouldn't normally do or I would be intimidated of, because I find him to be such a good instructor. So Robin Arzon, Denis Morton, then I would put Bradley Rose in there. I really did have a good time riding with him. But Bradley, Sam, and Leanne, I think those are the next 3. They're all very close together. I don't go back to them as much as I do with Robin, but when I see a ride pop up that looks interesting to me, I am super happy to take it. And then I have Jen Sherman there. She just wasn't my jam. I found I had the most like issues of not knowing what was happening in rides with her and just finding them really, really difficult. I think she's a bit too advanced of an instructor for me, but those are my rankings so far. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I have lots of things to ask of you here at the end. The #1 being, please let me know who you would like me to do a review on next. I would love to do another one of these 2 weeks from now, which means I need to start choosing and getting on my bike and getting it done. Please like this video if you liked it. Please go and watch my other Peloton videos if you haven't. Subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed already. I do these Peloton videos. I do some like food and what I eat in a day videos. I do some beauty and skincare videos, just kind of the whole gamut of what I enjoy doing. And that is all from me. If you made it this far, friend me on Peloton. I am Melissa_Ottawa, and I will put that down in the description below. I may have put it at the start of this video too. That is all from me. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.